Hi, this is Roger, thanks for dropping by. I'm filming this. I haven't got a clue when I'm going to post it because there's other things stacking up. But this is the endearingly called Revenge plant, which was a gift from Insa. Revenge for something he had once. And it was presented to me at Burnham, so it was organised through, well, it wasn't Sarah, I don't think, it was one of the other staff at Burnham's. Now, all I'm hoping to do is lift this out and move it across the pot. In other words, get these two growths back over some media. So there is a third new growth here. This one may not extend, I don't know. But basically that's all I want to do. So I'm going to lift it out of the pot, see where the roots are, if any. I'm sure there are. Oh, we've got a nice root system. And that has not been in this pot long, so I shall go and pick Arthur up warmly by the throat and say, why did you pop that right on the edge of the flipping... Ah, I can see why. Didn't want to remove that. Well, that's one way of looking at it. I'll show you another way of looking at it. It's called you're in the way, so we'll take that off. Right, so I'm not going to disturb these roots, I'm going to leave them as they are. All I want to do is get these two areas here and the existing roots over some media. This bulb back here can stay. It is, actually I'm not happy with it, it's loose. I'm going to take that one off as well. It's loose. If it's loose, then there's something going wrong at the base. So we'll remove that one. We'll have a quick look at the rhizome, being in Miltonia. And it looks okay. Right, so we've got two support bulbs, two new growths pushing on to maturity, and another new growth that may or may not develop. It's unlikely these two new growths will actually bloom. So what we're looking to do is get the next pair of new growths, and if you can go from 1 to 2, it is possible to go from 2 to 4. And those, or at least one or some of them, might bloom, given the size of what's behind them. So it's up to me to grow these two growths to their full extent and try and get nice big bulbs like this one, with leaves and a good set of roots underneath them. So, as I said, I'm not going to disturb those roots, I'm going to leave them. They're actually quite dry at the moment, but never mind. And they're not going back in that pot because I can't see what's going on. So that's perfectly good bark there. I could just reuse it, quite honestly. There's nothing wrong with it. Nothing wrong with it at all. So I thought I saw something moving then. Paranoia, that's what it was. Paranoia was moving in the bark. Right, I'll sort myself a pot and some media and I'll be back. A quick one this. Okay, most Miltonias that I've come across, I can't see this one being any different, are creepers and potential climbers. In other words, they will creep across the pot. They have quite long internodes between the bulbs. Consequently, they take up a lot of ground room, a lot of ground space, and not a lot of aerial space, vertical space. So I've got a wide, shallow pot. Most Miltonias are not deep rooters. They tend to have lots of finer roots spread out from the rhizome. So they like to occupy quite a bit of space, but they don't go down much. So this is using up stuff that was in these two bags, left over from previous stuff. And it's basically small bark, perlite and some moss, not a lot of moss. But it'll be enough to encourage root growth, which is all I need to do. And I'm going to pot this quite deep. Sorry, yes, deep, I know what I mean. And right up against the back of the pot, so that these two new growths will go, any roots that come out will go down into the media. The existing roots are pushing on the media I've just pushed in, yeah? So they're automatically in contact with media. And the back of the plant is up against the back of the pot as best I can. So, whoops, hang on. The wet trouser legs. Yes, so that's where I want it to be. So I've got a bit round the back. I don't need a lot. There's nothing growing round the back there. That's just really to hold it in place. And then the rest of the media will go in round the plant and underneath those two growths. So we've got our existing roots nicely covered, and we've got media under these two new growths, so that when they produce their roots, I'll say when because you've got, in the Oncidium Alliance there are differences. Some produce their roots as the new growths progress. Some produce the new roots when the new growths are about halfway to maturity. And some don't produce any roots at all until the bulbs are actually mature and the leaves are fully expanded. And then they produce their roots. So they vary a lot. And I don't know what this one's going to do. So we'll just make sure that those two growths can put down roots into media. I'll keep the Burnham's tag. It's actually classed as sort of lower intermediate, so winter minimum 12. So Miltonias are strange. Some of them like highlight and some of them don't. And some of them you've got to push them into light that starts to turn their leaves slightly yellow. That's the right light. Any more and they start to turn really yellow, that's too much. And if they stay dark green, there's not enough. So they do tell you, but it's very difficult to get it just right. Anyway, good watering for that because that moss is nearly dry. And as I said, the bulbs are over at an angle, but that doesn't matter. They're not going to bloom, so I doubt if there's any spikes going to come out. And there's just about room for the next set of new growths. And if the worst comes to the worst, it can be lifted and moved back again. I must admit that's farther forward than I wanted. Oh, I know why. It leant forward to actually get the rhizomes in contact with the media. So that'll do for its first go anyway. And as I say, good watering now, good soak, and I'm going to put it in medium light. So it's going to go on not on a top shelf, it will go on the next shelf down, which is where I've got all my other big Miltonias this year. Last year they got too much light and they went very, very pale in colour. This year I noticed the new growths on those three big Miltonias are green. Pale green, but green. And as they've all been split and they're growing new growths to get nice big bulbs ready for the next set of new growths, I don't mind if they're in lower light because I'm not attempting to bloom them. Right, so there we go then. Miltonia flavescens, one that I owned some time ago, I can't remember how long ago, and I never got the flipping thing to bloom, and I don't know what happened to it. I don't know whether it died, I don't know whether it rotted, I don't know whether it got sent to somebody else. I have no memory of what happened to it, but we will have a memory of this one because it's a gift. So thanks Insa, and I'll get it to bloom, but not this year. As I said, with a plant that size, if these two latest growths do decide to push a spike out, I will take it off because it's the next set of growths I'd be looking to get to bloom. So there we go, that's that one done. My ethic now is, irrespective of watering, now today I watered all the pots except the cooler, shadier ones that were done yesterday with the mounts and the cymbidiums. So today it was all the rest, if you see what I mean. So irrespective of watering, I'm trying to do one job a day, every day, if possible. There will be times when I can't because I'm not here or something else comes up. But it doesn't matter how small, just get something done each day and keep digging away at that list of things to do in here. and then hopefully by December it'll all be done. Right, see you next time. Thanks for dropping by, and thanks for the plantings, appreciated, especially the gesture that goes with it. I'll get my revenge, because one day we will see a nice spike coming up on this thing. Possibly towards the end of summer next year, I'll predict. See you next time.